A series of fires believed to be started at homeless camps throughout the city of Austin are leaving neighborhoods in fear. This week on Inside the Investigation, Investigator Matt Grant explains the conditions elevating concern for wildfires. Welcome to Inside the Investigation. I'm Kelly Wiley, and I'm here with my fellow investigator, Matt Grant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Matt, this story is so interesting to me, especially the images of these fires happening across the city. What made you start looking into this?
Well, Kelly, like a lot of the stories that we get, this one started with a viewer tip. It was a resident who lives in a Tech Ridge area apartment complex in Austin. And he reached out because there were two fires that happened just weeks apart right next to his complex. And beyond the fire itself, he described them as explosions. He said it literally shook the building he was in, and one of them woke him up. So this was in late December and in mid-January. And when we went out there, another resident said that there was actually a third fire that had happened within this couple week span. And he wanted us to be aware of it, and he wanted the city to do something about it because he felt like not enough was being done. And so that's how this started, with him reaching out in a viewer tip email to us.
I can only imagine, because it doesn't take much for things to get out of control and for them to get much more dangerous. One of the things that we usually don't find out for quite some time are the cause of wildfires, the cause of even house fires. What picture did the records and investigative reports that you obtained paint for how some of these fires were happening?
So the records for at least the two fires that we obtained show that they were both connected to homeless encampment activity, is what the records described. And alarmingly, they also described, quote, several dozen gas tanks that were found in the area. And when we went out there, we didn't see any people, but we did see remnants of that encampment. Tents, tarps, other debris that were in the area. So it was clear that people had been living there. We didn't see the gas tanks from the vantage point that we were at, but I mean, yeah, fire described several dozen of them. So that was one of the primary causes of the fires.
That's scary to hear about gas tanks and so many of them in that area. There's video from your story where you can see the encampment, you can see the brushy area, and then this apartment complex. And it just made me curious, how close have these fires gotten to the people living there? And also, has it led to the unhoused people living in that area to losing their lives, or any injuries happening?
So the report for the December incident said that no one was hurt or injured. We would have to go back and look at the individual reports for all of the cases that we found. We looked at December and January because those are traditionally cold months. We found that in the last 2 months there were 430 responses to grass, trash, and dumpster fires that potentially involve encampments. And that has been a steady increase since 2021. So obviously, anytime you have an out of control, uncontrolled fire, that raises the risk for serious injury, for death, for property damage. So it is a big concern. And this comes all at a time when Texas A&M's Forest Service is warning about a high-risk spring season when it comes to wildfires. That's because of the dry, cold conditions that we've had lately, overgrown vegetation that has stemmed largely from heavy rains that we had last year. And so all of that is creating this condition where we're at a high risk, and then you have hundreds of cases of these fires popping up. In the specific case here at this Tech Ridge area apartment complex, the fire, you could see where it happened from the balcony. You could see the burnt out area. I don't know exactly how far it is. It's between the complex and a movie theater that was really close by. I would say probably less than a football field length away. And around the property, you have all of this overgrown brush. You have dead trees. There were a lot of tree branches. And so, and it's just this brush. And so neighbors are concerned because obviously it's very close enough that at least some of the neighbors, they see it, they they felt their building shake. And then you have conditions near there that they feel heighten the risk of a fire. So they're really concerned about it. I mean, this is something that they could clearly see from their windows right outside, right in their backyard.
Matt, one thing that I thought about as you were even talking about these warnings that we give them all the time in our newsroom of an increased fire risk, letting people know not to do certain things in their yards and not to burn things because of the increased risk. And then you think about who that message is landing with, right? Like probably not people who are living in homeless encampments who might not have access to TV and those warnings. And it just makes me think, what are the solutions to particularly the issue of the fires originating from homeless encampments?
It's a really good question. It's a question that the residents that we spoke with who live in this area are also asking. What can be done? And I think about the resident who reached out to us, and he was saying, this is he's not trying to attack a community. He's trying to get help for them and for the residents who are here. And ultimately, how you help them and spread this outreach is a question that city officials are wrestling with. I did speak with Austin Homeless Strategies and Operations. They said in a statement, quote, "The most effective fire prevention strategy is access to housing and shelter." And that's something that the city has been grappling with for years. City staff say they're reaching out to people who are experiencing homelessness. They're giving wildfire risk guidance, and they're trying to connect them with housing options and with shelter options. And ultimately, I think that's going to be a major part of the solution. At least that's what the city feels, is that trying to connect people who are homeless with avenues that can help them shelter, ultimately trying to get them into homes and get them off the streets. That's going to be a key part of solving what is a very complicated issue.
Matt, thank you so much for your reporting. I know people are going to be listening in on this story and already have been reading the work that you've been doing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus app every Friday starting at 1 p.m. Just search for KXAN on your preferred streaming devices such as Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also listen to KXAN's Investigative podcast, where we feature audio versions of our weekly Inside the Investigation episodes. You can find new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts. Just search for KXAN Investigates.